apparel blanks to people that do it from home and look to come in and buy product from us. And like most people, I started from home in this, decorating t-shirts with vinyl. And then as I started doing it more and more, I looked for easier ways to do it, went into screen printing, and then decided to take the step into getting into embroidery.
Awesome. So you probably started out in a path that's very similar to a lot of people, right? Starting out with something small with vinyl, and then growing up to the bigger machines, and then eventually venturing out to another vertical with embroidery. Now, I see that a lot with a lot of the customers that we talk to, especially at printing shows like this, that they started out with printing, but then see our embroidery machines and then wanted to venture into embroidery. Can you tell us a bit about, looking back at the time that you took that leap? What were some hesitations and reservations that you had about jumping into embroidery, but what made you kind of overcome that fear and do that and take that next step?
I think when you're getting into something new, like with anything, it's the fear. Like with embroidery, it's the fear of everything, I guess. Because you really don't know, like I didn't know anything about embroidery, didn't know anything about sewing. So I was like I don't even know how to thread a needle. So how am I gonna figure it out? And eventually, I went ahead and I picked up the MT-1501 and was like, let me get my feet wet, see where it goes, and go from there. And I know like there's a lot of issues whenever you're first trying to learn it, but the more you do it, the more time you put into it, the better off you'll be.
And in the beginning, you were the one that's operating the machine and learning, how to do everything, especially when it's such a different process than like screen printing, right?
Oh yeah, it's a way different process. I was the one running the whole shop at the time. My sister-in-law worked there, but it was more of I was doing the screen printing, I was doing all the embroidery, and then I was still had a full-time job at the time also, where I was in the military, and I would work 12, 13-hour days in that, and then get home from that to go to the shop to keep learning my knowledge on the embroideries.
And what helped you the most in that learning curve to be able to kind of overcome that? Because I think a lot of people go through the same thing, especially when they look at these machines and it might seem intimidating at first. Is that something that you also resonate with, that you felt when you got started, and how what did you do to ramp up your knowledge on that?
And it's always a fear no matter what, like I said. But you have to get in there and you have to put the time in to learn the machine and how it's going to run. And if that's something that you don't do, then you're not gonna eventually learn it. I have people that come into the shop that have the machine, they're like, it's still in the box, Joe. I haven't taken it out. And I'm like, the only way you're gonna know if it's gonna work for you is if you take it out the box,
you actually use it,
and you start to use it. And they're like, well, I don't know how to thread it. It's already pre-threaded for you. You just gotta take that step, thread that needle, and hit the start button. You know what I mean?
Right. And so because with embroidery, you're dealing with threads, tension, a lot of different things, a lot of different moving parts, so to speak. And so I think we obviously here at Ricoma, we offer the training and the support and a ton of videos on YouTube to be able to get people started. But at the end of the day, you got to take that next step to be able to actually get on the machine and do it, right? But the thing that you kind of talked about, that a lot of people still have their machine in the box and haven't touched it, we see that at times too, and our team is there to encourage them to get the training with our staff and actually start to use it. Then you'll see kind of you'll never know what you don't know, so you kind of have to take that next step. And many times it's that fear that's holding a lot of people back from taking that next step, and therefore even starting their business, right?
And that's one of the good things that I like about you guys is like whenever I first started using it, I didn't know the float back function. And I was embroidering and the needle didn't stop right away, so I was like, let me call tech support. And the guy's like, you didn't watch the video? And I was like, what video? And he's like, you didn't watch the video. He's like, just hit this button and go back. And I was like, okay. And that's what made me like, okay, instead of calling right away because you got that the service that you don't charge for, and it's very, very good. But like, you gotta learn those little things. It's a lot of little things, like the tension, the knobs, how to run the thread correctly.
Right.
Because anything that is off, it's gonna affect the way it embroiders.
And so that, now that you kind of know a lot more about the machine, and as your shop expands, how are you translating that knowledge to your employees?
That's scary because, and I do.
That's another fear.
It is because everybody, like social media stuff and everything that I put out, and everybody knows Joe or Heart Muscle Printing is doing it. It has my name on it. So whenever something is getting done and I've delegated it, I have a full-time employee who does embroidery, and I just recently hired another employee part-time to help out with that, and then I fill in whenever someone's not there. But it's just the fear of putting something that you're used to overwatching and doing every day into someone else's hands and expecting the same quality, same results.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's, like, I was talking to you earlier. The big contract job that I have will send. I don't overlook all of that all the time because there's so much coming in and so much going out. The turnaround rate on that stuff is like daily. So whenever he comes back with a product, and I'm like, I'll fix it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I have to talk to them and be like, did you know about it? Yeah, I knew about it. But why didn't you fix it? You know what I mean? So those little things about putting it into their hands and hoping for the same results.
Right. So I mean that's a common fear that a lot of people have, especially taking their business from a solo entrepreneur to the next step to hiring hiring employees. I'm sure that's something that's very common across a lot of people. Can this other person do it the same way that I can? I mean, God knows that I have been through the same thing as we're growing the business. But from your perspective as a business owner, having to take that next step, what are the things that you kind of told yourself, or how did you put yourself in the right mindset to overcome that? Because I think that's a common thing for people to go from 1 to 100. Everybody has to go through that process, and some people they freeze up when they have to let go of certain things. But otherwise, your business wouldn't grow. So how did you personally overcome that?
It's just trusting the process, I guess. You know what I mean? Like right now, my sister-in-law is in Texas, and I'm here. So we call him the rookie. He's there right now.
Okay.
And he's doing his thing. And it's just about trusting in him to get the job done. You know what I mean? And like, it's tough. Trust me, it is. And then, dude, I don't think I ever overcome it because a business, like this is what someone told me, like when you're a business owner, like your business is like a baby.
Oh yeah.
So no matter what, you're always like if you're watching TV, you're thinking about your baby.
You're always thinking about
no matter what I'm doing, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm still thinking about that over there. It's something that you will always do as the owner.
Yeah.
Because you know what you want, but can they actually do it for you?
Yeah, I think many times it's about empowering them to do it, right? And so as long you might not get it 100% the same way that you would, but the way that I personally see it is like if I can get 80% of what I would do, that's 80% more than I otherwise would not have had I had to do everything on my own.
Yeah, and I know, like, I just tell her, like my sister-in-law would get upset with something that she did, and she's like, I can't do it, and I'm like, you just gotta have confidence. Like, if you have confidence, if you say you can't do it, you're not gonna do it.
Right.
But if you just maintain being confident, then it will happen. Like, I just tell her, it's a mistake, it happened, we'll learn from it, we'll get over it, but from here, let's move forward and not let it happen again.
And I'm sure in the beginning, when you're kind of ramping up the new hires that you're bringing on, so that it can offload some of the responsibilities that you have, you're probably spending a lot more time in the beginning than you normally would if you do it yourself. Like, I can do this in 10 minutes, but to teach the rookie how to do it, I gotta spend an hour. So it's actually less productive of my time in the beginning, but it's like almost like an investment that you're making up front that you reap the rewards later on.
And that's the way it has to be. Like, and he's already learned like the little things that we don't do, and when he makes a mistake, he lets me know right away so that he can fix it then and not have to wait for it to come back.
Right, right. And I think that's the transparency and everything, you know, and them needing guidance, right? But you're not able to kind of scale your business to the next level if you don't do that, because then you would, you know, instead of having this conversation right now, you would be needing to be back at the shop and running the actual machines to keep the business going. But it really opens up your time to kind of work on the business more instead of, you know, in the business.
And that's what I'm trying to get to. Like I started with direct to film, and then now my daughter does all of that. That's her full-time job all day.
Nice.
That's what she does. And then my sister-in-law and the new guy, they're focused on that. So now I still can't let go of the screen printing part.
Okay.
Because I'm like, you got to be very careful with that. And I'm here, and my daughter, she's been screen printing with me because we're doing this at home. So right now she has a job, left chest, one color, 500 shirts, and I'm like, you can do it. Okay. So I'm like, just do 100 shirts a day, and you'll be good. You know what I mean?
And start with the simple stuff.
Simple stuff.
And then see how they do. Okay. And the I'm curious about another kind of I guess fork in the road and a decision that you had to make. Right. You started out with vinyl and screen printing, and then you kind of ventured into embroidery. Were there any signs or signals that told you to do that? How did you come across it? And then what made you take that leap? Because it's something, you know, we're not talking about screen printing versus like sublimation or DTF. They're more in the same printing realm, right? You're talking about completely a different vertical. And what prompted you to do that? What were the signals? Because I get a lot of questions from people. You know, I have my take on it, but I wanted to kind of hear your take on it. People ask all the time, you know, when do I get into this other thing? Right? If I start out with this, when do I get into the next thing?
I think for us it was when I first opened up the shop, we were already doing screen printing and vinyl, and I had just got the first direct-to-film printer, and then I was like, what else can I do? And that's when I was like, let me look into embroidery. And that's when I was talking to my sister-in-law at the time, and I was like, this is what I'm looking into doing. And I was telling her and my wife, this is what I'm looking to doing, and I just want you to know that if I do this, it's gonna be like, this is us, you know what I mean? Okay. And that's what made me, when she agreed to do it, that's when I was like, all right, let's look into getting the embroidery machine. We got the MT1501, and haven't looked back since then.
Right, and since then, you've also grown to have another MT1501, and then also a 6-head. So you got eight heads total now, right?
So I started with the single head, and then I picked up a contract for a year-round soccer league. So they do a lot of, so they do winter stuff, and then they do summer stuff. So one thing that a lot of people ask me is like, when's your slow time in embroidery? And I'm like, never, because there's always
year-round.
It's always year-round, because there's always winter stuff with him, and then there's always summer stuff. And then the big scrub contract that I got is constant every single day. But we got so backed up with just running a single head even with 50 pieces is a lot. But when we were doing 200-300 pieces, and the guy would come in and be like, Joe, like, and I'm like, I got it, man, we got it. You know what I mean? So that's what made me take the step into reaching out to the team again and being like, I think it's time to upgrade to the 6-head, which has cut down our production time
by 6 times.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, and then with the other job that we have, the ones and twos that come in, plus the scrub job. Like sometimes it's 3 or 4 pieces. We can run those on the single head machines. So now I picked up that other single head machine, and we were just talking a little while ago, maybe another 3-head or something.
Right.
In the future, because like just there's so much stuff that we're doing, and we have to keep those machines running like all day.
Right. And from a business model standpoint, do you focus more on getting these kind of contract embroidery jobs, or do you go more direct to consumer with retail, or both?
Like I just told you, I've been very lucky. Like the 2 contract jobs that I have, they just walked in. Like I'm in like a
Oh,
shop.
you probably kind of like built a name for yourself that
Yeah.
they found you that way, right?
Yeah, so like one of the guys, like when I first opened up the shop, I just made a post on Facebook for, introducing myself to the area, and then he reached out to me and wanted to come in and talk to me. And then the other guy that came in, he was actually doing eating lunch next door. So then he came in and was like, hey, we could work together. So I was like,
Wow, okay.
So, but word of mouth has been really big. I do stuff for a lot of people that are an hour and a half, 2 hours away. I do stuff, like I know there's shops on the East Coast, in the South, but I got people, like when I post something online, they'll reach out to me and, hey, I'm gonna drop ship 50 hats to you that I need you to do. And I'm like, cool. Ship them back and they're going to California. And I'm
Oh, okay.
cool.
Okay. So really, I mean, you had to have a lot of the branding and the track record for people to be able to find you, and I'm sure the social media posts helps with just the exposure, and then people, not knowing that, oh, you can provide this kind of contract embroidery job for me, and I got, the hats ready or the shirts ready or whatever, and then send it to you, to a border.
So yeah, I started doing the social media stuff when I was still at the house, and I gained a good following on YouTube, and then started with the Instagram stuff and slowly getting into the TikTok stuff. But being I had that presence already, when I added, here's what I'm adding to the shop now. If you guys need it, I can do it. You know what I mean? And I didn't post anything about embroidery for probably 3 or 4 months because I didn't want to say I can do it, and they sent me something,
and then you can't yet. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So then I'm like, no. You know what I mean? But it took me a while before I made my first video of the embroidery stuff. But once I started doing that, it was just people that already knew of me that reached out to me and sent me stuff.
And do you get a lot of people that will cross purchase your, people that get embroidery from you will also get some screen printing done from you, and vice versa?
Yeah, so they do. They'll come and want to get a screen printing job done, and then they'll come in there and be like, oh, y'all do.
You do embroidery too, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, we do embroidery. I got a wide format printer. You need stickers? I got you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so I do that stuff. There's 2 or 3 high schools in our area too that made me buy the wide format printer also.
Okay.
I do every year for the last couple of years. I've been doing all their banners. You know what I mean? But it's whenever someone comes in and they only want screen printing, I'm getting ready to do one when we get back. They only want screen printing, but I got their logo digitized. So
and then you
I'm just
them.
gonna throw them a hat in there. So then they'll get, and then I'm gonna throw them some stickers in there.
Yeah.
So it gets their thoughts turning.
Right.
To where they're gonna be like, oh, I can just go here and get everything.
Exactly.
And not have to go here, here, and here to get different stuff.
And that's something we preach a lot here about being a one-stop shop to be able to offer all the variety of solutions to your customers. Part of the reason why we are also branching beyond just embroidery is because a lot of apparel decorators like you have the needs for all sorts of decoration methods, and you want to be the solution provider for everything, right? So what's next for you? If you're already you got the wide format printers going, you got embroidery, you got vinyl, screen printing. What's next?
Laser engraving. That's my next thing. But I was talking to the girls in the shop because it's all girls that work there. And now it's one guy. We're all family. So I don't want but now I got one guy that's working there, and I was like, I think the next thing I'm gonna do is get into embroidery. Laser engraving, and they're like, no.
Why?
Because everybody's busy.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, who's gonna do it?
Yeah.
Who's gonna sit down and do the engraving?
Well, you probably gotta do it first, and then you gotta teach everyone else.
Because we have so many people that come in and want laser engraved stuff, and I'm like, not yet. You know what I mean? And I'm the only one in our area that does 3D puff. There's another big embroidery shop there that I've made a really good connection with, and whenever someone needs embroidery puff from them, they just outsource it to me.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, cool. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They stick to more of the flat stuff.
Okay.
And not get into
the hats and the 3D puff, and then so you build the connection with them, so that's also another kind of source of revenue where if they wanna if their customer wants to do some 3D puff or hats, they'll kind of contract to you to do it. Okay.
Yeah, so I do there's 3, I got 3 local businesses that do one of them only does embroidery and outsources the screen printing and direct to film to us. There's
Okay.
another one that just does vinyl work, and they outsource everything else to us.
Okay.
And then there's the one guy that claims to do everything but does nothing. He outsources it all to me, so I'm okay with it. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
And these connections, how were you able to establish these? Was it more like, oh, they found you? How did these connections come about?
So, for one of them was already buying stuff from us because they do a lot of the vinyl stuff. So then I was talking to them about what else I can offer them.
So it started as a customer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so since they were already buying like vinyl stuff to print on their customer shirts, then I offered that to them. So they were like, all right, cool. They started sending screen printing and embroidery jobs to us. And then the other one, I had met them through the guy that does the scrubs. Because he was using them at first, but then their embroiderer had retired. So then they couldn't keep up, so he brought it to us.
I see. Okay.
And then, so that's how I built a relationship with them. And then the other guy that I do stuff with, I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
And then as he started doing more of his promotional stuff, he just started like bringing more of it to us.
I see. Yeah, because a lot of so it seems like a lot of your and these seems to be recurring, right? Because it's not just it seems like they will do this on a recurring basis, and a lot of the whether it's like schools or organizations, even the scrubs for doctors and hospitals, it's like they would order that several times a year.
So yeah, they do. They do. So he does. So the customers that do the scrubs, they have the ability to go in and purchase their own throughout the year, and then they go out and fit the whole practice once a year. So it's non-stop, like all the time with them. So it's good, but it's insane at the same time. So it's a lot of early mornings, late nights. You know what I mean? But it's what I love to do.
So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit and ask you a different kind of question. But like, you know, since we're on the topic, the overall theme of like, you know, fear of taking that next step, fear of you know, different types of fear as you grow your business. What keeps you up at night at this point in the, you know, at this point in your business, in your journey?
I guess right now, like, it's just when someone is gone, that's when I have to step in, and she's very understanding about that. But when we have everybody running the machines and we're there all day running them, then we close at 7. So I'll usually leave about 8, and then she's like, "You ready? You ready?" And we'll leave. But like the last couple of days, this week, my sister-in-law has flown back to Texas for some personal reasons. So I know now I'm doing the embroidery and I'm still trying to keep up with the screen printing at the same time. So that's what, like, when that happens, that's when it's more of, I gotta get it done. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of deadlines that are involved.
Right.
You know
Have you ever gotten to a point where you got, you know, so busy and overwhelmed or short-staffed at certain points that you had to, you know, since you do a lot of contract jobs for other people, that you've had to contract those out just to meet the deadline for that particular job? Has it gotten to that point?
It probably can get that point, but I don't do it.
But you just pull the all-nighter and just do it.
I just don't do it because I got into this business to make money, and that's what I want to keep it if I can.
Right,
basically.
okay. But are there certain times in the year where it gets that rush? Either like a back to school or anything?
It's usually like back to school stuff because they're doing a lot of the uniforms and like a lot of this, like all the high schools now do medical stuff, so they all have to have scrubs.
Oh, okay. What do you mean by that? Like all the high
So
schools?
like a lot of the high schools will like they have nursing programs.
Oh, okay.
So they all have to have.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So they all have to have scrubs for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But Christmas is the worst.
Okay.
Christmas is one of the bad ones because everybody likes to wait last minute. And I'm like, when do you need it? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got a super high rush fee. I can do it, but
Right.
if you want it tomorrow and you really need it tomorrow, that's what it's going to cost you. You know what I mean? But usually we tell people 2 to 3 weeks, if not sooner, because my contract stuff is my priority, and then the other stuff. With the single head machines, I'll have them run those on there.
Right, do the one-offs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the contracts can keep you busy enough.
Super busy.
that will take up all your pretty much like if you had no other orders coming in, just the contract work on its own, it's gonna be at full capacity.
Yeah, that's. So I was saying, like, if I wanted to quit, wanted to retire, and just do embroidery and not have any of the headaches of anything, we could
You can do it.
we could live pretty good on just doing the embroidery jobs that we're doing.
That's a good place to be. To have those that flexibility and those options. So, what kind of?
I was sadly have to fire everybody and be like, I'm sorry, but we're gonna go short staffed. This is gonna be me and my wife. You know what I mean?
And just do the contract jobs. Okay. The so what would you? What are some advice that you would give to new apparel decorators, either having even taken the first step to start out in this industry, or those that have started but looking to get to the next level? What are whether it's the same advice, different angles to approach that next step? Whatever the case is, what is it that you would tell them to kind of overcome what they might be feeling, what you were feeling years ago? That being intimidated, taking that next step, and that fear.
You just got to do it. You have to. Like, if you don't do it, you're not going to know. And that's why I've always seen it. And that's why when it came to embroidery, I was like, the longer I keep putting it off, I'm not going to know where it can be. There's the fear. There's always the fear of like, okay, I got to make this, whatever your payment is, whatever machine you buy, and you look at your payment, you're like, okay, I got to pay $1,000 this month.
Right.
Like, man, I got
expenses.
I got overhead. I got employees. I got electricity.
Rent.
You got all these other bills that you're already trying to keep up with, and now you're adding something onto that. There's always that fear there, but at the same time, the more you start to do it and you grow your business, it becomes very, I guess, like easy because you already know what you got. Prices on stuff now compared to $500. Oh man, I don't know. Like, how are we gonna put $500? And now it's like we're looking at equipment that's like $30,000-$40,000.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? It's a lot. So the sooner you get into it, the better you'll be, and you're gonna progress in it. Especially embroidery, because it's that niche that not a lot of people do because everybody's afraid of it.
Right.
But once you get into it and you're knocking it out, like you'll be ready. You'll be good, but you got to learn your machine.
Yeah, I think that people just you're always gonna have that fear in the back of your mind. But many times, some people let that stop them from taking that next step. Others will actually kind of, take that on and just do it. And many people will probably find this very surprising that, like, even here at Ricoma, like, it's not like we have a perfect plan for everything that in the foreseeable future. You kind of figure your way out, as you go, don't you? Like, it's not like you have the answers to everything, but when you run into that issue, run into that problem, you kind of just like take it head on in that moment, and you figure out a solution. It's not like I knew the solution 10 years ago. You come up with new stuff every day, but if the fear is kind of overtaking or overwhelming you with inaction, you probably never even get to experience that problem in the first place. You'll just still be in the same spot that you were, 5-10 years ago.
You have to get in there and you have to learn it. That's all I can say. Really, you know what I mean?
So to those that at home and they're like still haven't taken out their machine, just gotta take it out and just turn it on.
When I gave my class at Deco Summit, after I gave my class, a lady came up to me and she's like, "You changed my life, Joe." And I was like, I'm
glad. All I did was teach you a couple.
I'm glad to hear that, but how? And she's like, I've had the machine for so long and I've never wanted to use it, but I watched some of your videos and now I'm using it. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I put out content not knowing who's watching it, and then to get the feedback from people like that, I know it's actually doing something for someone.
Right. And I think people will resonate with that, right? Because they can see that someone else can do it, and it gives them the confidence that they can do it too. But if we tell them they can do it, they don't necessarily trust what we say. We're biased, right?
You're just trying to sell me a machine.
Right. But when they see that, okay, our clients, other people, just like them, starting with the exact same experience, it's not like people are born with this skill, right? Like any other skill, like driving and riding a bike and knowing how to swim, it's like any other skill, except this skill just makes you money, right?
Yeah.
So I think the takeaway of the message that what we really try to encourage people to do is just really take that next step and just take that leap of faith. And yes, is there a chance of failure? Sure, as with anything else in life, there is that chance. But you know, things that are worth doing are usually not easy, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you gotta spend money to make money. It's the way it goes. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you make that investment in something that costs so much, there's going to be a return if you stick to it. That's just the bottom.
Right. I think you're like the perfect embodiment of the journey and the success of growing from just a single head machine to now 8 heads and looking to get even more. It's everybody starts out at that point. Well, that's what people don't maybe think about. They take a step and think about that. But everybody starts out at the same starting point.
Yeah, and that's what I tell, like on my videos, I tell people, like, I just didn't start doing YouTube with a full shot. You look at my journey from my very first video, unboxing a heat press and unboxing a vinyl cutter. And as I kept doing it and growing and getting into different things, to finally opening up a storefront is like crazy to like we sit there and we're like, it's insane.
You could have imagined that when you first started.
And that's what I tell. I can't make it up because I can tell you my story, but I actually from when I started doing it on YouTube. You know what I mean? Because I was like, let me just try this. Here we are.
Right.
From day one. You know what I mean? And now here we are now. We got three suites. Our store is 3 suites. We have the B&B where people can come in and buy their own stuff, and then the full print shop too.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's really glad to hear kind of your journey and so thankful for you to have us be a part of that. And we're looking forward to continue to grow this partnership, and can't wait to see what you do in the years that are coming up. You know?
Yeah, it's gonna be like I'm excited for it. Eventually, our ultimate goal is to buy some land and build a big old metal building somewhere. So
nice, and just have a whole shop of different equipment. It's almost like your own toy store. Just go in there and just do a bunch of different things.
That's what my daughter was saying before I came out here. She's like, Dad, like when you go to those things, it's like you're going into a candy store.
Yeah.
Like we go into a candy store, it's like, ooh, look. But you go there, you're like, ooh. You know what I mean? Because it's just this industry is never going to go away because everybody has to wear clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody wants something on it. You know what I mean? So no matter what, this is never going to go away. Whether you're doing screen printing, embroidery, direct to film, direct to garment, or you're still selling vinyl. We sell vinyl, and people that do direct to film, or screen printing are like, vinyl's going away, and it's never going to go away because there's always someone starting their journey, and they want to start the cheapest way.
Yeah.
And that's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
we have a saying here internally, and since you mentioned that, as long as people wear clothes, we're going to be in business. I don't see that going away anytime soon. So
I know, right?
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to continue to grow with you and the partnership.
Thank you for having me, and I can't wait to see where we go.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.